Okay. Hello everyone. Good morning. My name is Harsh Patel. My ID number is 22DCE090. We are currently studying computer engineering second year in Devang Patel Institute in Charasat University located at Changa. We have a special guest today, software industry expert Mr. Pawan Khennar. First of all, welcome Mr. Pawan Khennar.
Yeah, thank you.
Uh, Please, sir, give me your introduction and which company do you currently work and what is the role or position in that company?
So my name is Pawan Khanna. So currently I'm working as a associate consultant at Capgemini Technology Services, which is located in Gandhinagar. So I have like nearly 3.5 years of experience. So basically, I'm working in SAP with implementation and support projects.
Yes, sir. I have another question. Is your company follow the
Yeah.
life cycle for the software development? What is your experience now till industry?
So yeah, every company follows SLDC, what we call it software development life cycle. Software development life cycle consists of different phases. For example, if you are having one client and you have to follow the SLDC process, so there are different, methodologies or aspects come in the way. So some of them are, you can say, project planning, coding phase, preparation phase, then QA phase. Then what you call it, deploy phase, then operational phase, and in the last it comes the support phase. So that's how the SLDC works, and every company must follow it.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And how much we have a prepared for the company? Which components you suggest to be stronger for the beginners for requirements?
Yeah, so I would suggest the most important part should be your first of all the coding skill, which all the software engineers should definitely have. You should be very much clear about your coding skills and different methodologies used in it. The second I would say, to survive or to get into software industry is your communication skill. How you behave, how you talk, how you communicate with your colleagues or
Yes.
with your clients. That is the most important things, because if you don't understand what is your client requirements, then how would you getting it ready, how will you deploy it? So the most important thing is communication, and the third one is very basic. You should be very much fluent in English. So
Yeah.
these three points, I think you should consider.
Thank you, sir. My friend Urmil has some questions to ask you. So I pass this session to Urmil Sakaria. Please continue.
Hello, sir. My name is Urmil Zakaria and my ID is 22DC102. I will be asking some question about software development principle.
Urmil, I think you are breaking. Do you guys able to hear him?
Yes, sir.
No, no, he has no network problem.
Yeah, I
Our
think he
network
is
issue in
freezed.
Urumqi.
Yeah. Can someone else continue?
Yes, sir. My name is Laksh Savlia, and my ID number is
I think Urmil is back.
22DC107.
Yes.
Yeah, Urmil,
Am
you
I
were
audible to
not
you?
audible properly. Yeah, now it's audible. Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay. My name is Urmil Zakaria and my ID is 22DC102. And I will be asking some question about related to software development principle. And the very first
Okay.
question is can you elaborate on the significance of a design pattern in software development?
Okay, so as I already said, there are different phases of a project, right? First, you need to understand what kind of a project it is. So, for example, is it an implementation project? Is it a support project or rollout project? There is an upgrade of system project. Okay, and different methodologies used, which are some of them are agile, which is one of my favorite. Then waterfall, lean, and interactive. All these are different methodologies used. Okay, if I talk about agile, So what happens in agile, if we compare software with 100%, like in scale of 100, so we divide different parts of a software, development in phases. So by phase, we do the deployment in related to the testing or QA system. That's how the agile system works. In agile system, we have a specific Scrum Master or a project manager which is assigned to us, and as per the project manager and their requirements and guidance, we have to deploy phase wise. That's how it works in the agile system.
Okay, and the second question is about software testing. Can you please elaborate something about software testing and how your company do it?
So for testing, we have as you know, there are developers, then there are testers. So we have a specific testing team. We have. So once the requirement comes, then the developer develops. Once it is deployed to the testing system or the QA system, then the testing teams. There are different softwares. We have Postman, Solman. There are different types of software. Testing softwares available. So once tester tests it, then they have to prepare the UT documents, which is you can say unit testing document, and that document we have to prepare and then send pass it to the client. And once client gives us green flag that it is okay, then we have to move it ahead. Then once it moves to QA system, then again the unit testers which are from client location, they have to test this again, and once the test pass, then it will be deployed to production. That's how this works.
Okay, and the last question is which version control system do you favor?
Version control system. Okay, so we have different version controls like GitHub, if you heard of it. Then it's Beanstalk, then GitLab, this kind of version system. I hope you already know what is version control system. So
Yes, yes.
if you know that, once we upgrade system or once new requirements come and we upgrade our coding, so for having all that coding in place, we have these version control systems. For example, if something is breaks down or something is not very much usable, so from using version control system, you can downgrade that particular code again to your development system. So, GitHub, GitLab, and Beanstalk, these are the examples of version control system.
Okay, sir. Over to Lux Savlia. You will be asking some question now.
Hi sir, my name is Lux Savlia and my
Sorry,
ID.
sir, I add one question.
Yeah.
What is the meaning of SRC in company? SRC or SRC?
SRC. SRS, I don't know. I'm not very much familiar with SRS. Maybe I have heard the term, but not sure.
Okay.
And don't call
Okay,
me
sir.
sir. In software industry, we don't call anyone sir or like that. But you can call me by name. It's fine.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, Laksh, go ahead.
My name is Lux Savlia and my ID number is 22DC107. So I asked Mr.
Okay.
Pawan some brief about update and deal with new technologies in documentation of in software.
Okay. So regarding upgrade, so if you are whatever software you are using or whatever technology you're doing, we are having that specific client or their companies which are developing the software. So whenever there are new updates or new versions of the system or you know the software, they own will have the documentation on their own website. So we have to check regularly or frequent basis what are the new updates coming, what are the new latest what you call it features, what are the latest features coming on in. So we generally what we do, we have for example, project manager or a senior manager who is leading the project. So they regularly keep checking on the websites or the documents, what are the new features, and then they introduce the features to the client. If those features are really useful, if the client thinks, yeah, their this version or these features would be really helpful for their businesses, so then they implement, or they otherwise they just skip those upgrades. So that's how we get it from the
And
website, official
my
websites or also.
second question is what kind of documentation use in your company of about software technique
Okay,
about?
so for yeah. So for documents, most of the time we use FSD, which is functional specification documents. For example, whatever the requirement client has given us, so they have to follow this FSD. So different company have their own FSD documents as per the requirements, and they have to give all the brief like what is the requirement, how will we fulfill the requirement, what are the pros and cons of that requirement. So this kind of document they have to provide to the developer, and once the developer is developed, then the developer also has to prepare the TS document, which is technical specification. In the technical specification, all the details will be mentioned, like what version of this code it is, and what changes you have made, or what new code you have introduced in the system. If something is breaks in the next system, how will you deal it, or what are the backup plans you have if something is goes wrong. So all this, things we have to mention in those documents. Then we have to take the legal approval or the sign off from the respective project manager or from the client side, whoever is representing. We have to take sign off from them, and then only we will move it on. So that's how we
And
document it.
technical debt, what are your concern about technical debt in software?
So yeah, as I told, the code and version that impacts, and that is very much having the significance of code depth. So you should always consider that what are the pros and cons of the code you have written. For example, you should be always having a backup plan ready in your mind, if something is goes wrong or something is fails in the next proceeding system, you should be having a backup plan to fix that. Yeah.
And what was your
Hopefully
role
I
in a
will.
development process?
So yeah, as I work in technical, actually I work as a techno functional. So I work as a functional also and technical also. So my work is to gather functional requirements from the client, as well as to develop the code and give to the testing and also. These are the things we do. Then if some upgrade is going on or some new version is coming on, so we have to download the S node from that website and implement those nodes. New features coming, or if some new users are coming into the system, then we have to train them as how the system works, what are the features of it. So all these runs we have to follow.
Thank you for your thoughts and visions about documentation. I passed my friend Samar Popat.
Hello, I am Samarth Popat and my ID number is 22DC091. As you told about client requirements, I want to ask, are there any specific industry standards or compliances requirement that your software must meet?
Yeah, there are quite of software or standard documents we have to follow. For example, if I give every, like if you work in software development, all that industry is having different kind of. For example, if you take oil industry or chemical or textile, petrochemical, all these industry would have their different requirements, or you call it usage of the software. So there are some standards available. Actually, to be very frank, in your initial way, in your initial years, when you will become, when you will go into any company or that, you won't have to worry about these kind of things, because there are some seniors or project managers who are sitting above your. So these kind of things, it will be taken care by you. So what you have, or what one which are encourage, like starting of your career, like 3 to 5 years, most of the time you have to focus on your coding skill. That is the main point, I would say. As I have seen in most of my times, you have to keep nourishing your coding skill, and that I don't think these things that very much used. Yeah, but once you have gained experience, 10, 15 years of experience, then these ISO standard and all these things comes into picture. Yeah.
And as you told that yeah, different industry have different standards. So how do you stay informed about
Mhm.
latest technology standards or new uh, limitations or standards to reach the uh, industry standards?
Okay, so if I specifically speak about SAP in which I work, so we have, based on the industry, for example, textile or whatever, cotton industry, oil industry, so there are different configurations available in our system based on which the system works. Okay, and now if the configuration changes, so there are certain documentations and certain type of business procedures available. Okay, so we have to go through those procedures, understand what will be the impact and how it will be useful for the users. And there are also, as I told you earlier, also there are standard documents available on the official website also of the software company. So you can just go through those documents and implement as per your business requirement. So, for example, there will be one standard like how the laptop works. Okay, so you must know how the laptop works, but that inside that, once you know how the HP laptop works, then you will also know how the Lenovo works or how the Dell works. Everything will be same, just some different, here and there differences will be there. So that's how it
Yes.
works. Yeah.
And if a client approaches you, then how do you set the aim and try to achieve that aim or target in the limited or expected time?
Sorry, I didn't get you. You're breaking.
Uh, like one time a client approaches you, then how do you set your aim to
Mhm.
achieve that target in expected or limited time?
Okay, so for example, if the it depends upon the requirement. Okay, for example, if the requirement is small, so we can definitely do it in a quicker bit. For example, I will give you some other example for like upgradation project. You are upgrading your system from one version to a different version. So this is kind of a very big project. So what happens in this kind of project is from client side also and from the who is providing support also, or the configuration also, that all the teams sit together in a meeting invite. Okay, they discuss what will be the roadmap of this whole upgradation project, what are the different timelines of it, what are different phases of it. Based upon that, all the dates and the times are getting fixed. Then there will be a scrum master assigned to that project. He will prepare all the blueprints of the projects, all the preparation phase of the projects. Then all the timelines will be set. Then all the peoples like who will be working on what kind of activities, what will be the roles and responsibilities of the different people involved in the project. All these things, get defined in that kind of a project. Then that there are some, like, there will be people which will be dividing in different groups like testers, coders, developers, and who will be taking care of documentation and all these things. And that's how we move ahead. Then there will be, weekly call scheduled, or like bi-weekly call schedule with the client. Then whatever the progress we have done, you can show to them these are the progress we have made, if they are happy or not, if they want to make any
Yes.
certain changes, like that. This kind of, whole project phase is going on until the final development, deployment is done. And once the deployment is done, so we have to take care how the system behaves, what is expected result was, what we delivered, what is the client satisfactory number, and all these things.
Okay. And my last question is how the company ensure that company reach international market standards, and how the company deal with the international client or some project.
Okay, so for example, we the company have different client. Okay, so different client have different project managers. So once in a, like every quarter or every 2 quarters, all these client managers and company leadership, in simple words, I would say leadership, they get together in a call. They talk about what is going in your project, or what are the challenges or problems we are facing, how to deal with those problems, what is ongoing in the market, how would we acquire more and more customers, or how our company would get more and more business. So these kind of sessions they generally have per quarter or by quarter, and they have this kind of discussions. But as I told in the very beginning phase, or 5 to 6 years of experience, we don't get much involvement in those meetings or calls, because it is a very like leadership calls, we can say, because all these
Yes.
decisions to be taken by the higher management side of the project. So yeah, but yeah, that's how they meet, industry standards, they interact with each other. And if there are different summits also goes on at different places. The company organizes company, or the whatever software you are using, they are like, for example, Microsoft. So Microsoft organizes I think every year some kind of collaboration or get together, where they invite all the different clients or companies which are using Microsoft, and they show their roadmap ahead of like next 2 to 3 years, or next 5 to 5 years, what are their plans and how they will going to be achieved. So from there we can be updated.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Now I request Kunsa to continue the session.
Hello and good morning. My name is Kunsa and my ID is 22DC111. And I would like to ask you the question about CM and IS of your company, and a little bit about the security.
Sorry, can you come again?
I'm going to ask you the question about the CM and IS uh, and security clearance of your or whatever your project. Uh, so, sir, my first question is how the company follow the CMM modules to get the ISO standards
Okay, so we are asking about the
capability
CMM, correct? If I'm not, yeah,
yeah,
capability maturity model.
model. Yes, yes, sir.
It's okay. So the capability, it depends upon the development and all that products which we are going to deliver to the client. So, for example, there are different kind of projects, as I already tell, implementation projects. So implementation also, there are two kind of projects. One is the greenfield implementation, and one is the brownfield implementation. What do you mean by greenfield implementation? So your client never used your software, whichever you are going to support him. It is like 100% you have to develop and deliver. That is called greenfield implementation. And what is brownfield implementation is, they are using some part of the software, and for the rest of their business they want to implement it again, or like some part of is already developed and the rest part is they want to develop again. So that is called greenfield implementation. So these kind of projects and all, that is come under CMM. And there are documents available in each organization wise. There are internal uh, documentaries, what you call it, repositories, in which all these documents are available. So in that case, they use the CMM model. And if you talk about ISO, so yeah, we follow some ISO rules and regulation as well. So in our company, there are some internal websites available where all these ISO and these documentations are available. So we generally use it. But as I told you, we don't get much into this CMM and ISO things. Yeah, higher management takes care of
Yes.
this.
And my other question is which approach do your company follow for the quality assurance, your modules and all other things?
Okay, so there are different like initial repeatable defined, like it is, as I told you, is it a greenfield? So if is it initial requirement, or is it existing requirement? Is it repeating again and again? Is it defined already in the system, or it's completely new? These are all the. I'm also not having that much deep knowledge about CMM.
Okay, okay.
Overall, I can say.
Thank you for valuable time. We really enjoyed this session.
If you have any other questions or general questions, that also you can ask.
Sir, my question is, what about software development life cycle in prioritized model? On what you think about prioritized model? waterfall and other
Uh,
learning.
Yeah, but actually, in SAP, the one methodology or that's a life cycle we meet, which is called ASAP methodology. And what happens in ASAP methodology, for if you talk about implementation projects, so there are different phases of the project. If I talk about it, it's the project preparation, blueprint phase, realization, final preparation, go live, and support. So, what is project preparation phase? As I already told you, we decide the roadmap of the whole project, what will be going to happen, then the blueprint phase. So in we prepare the blueprint based on the business requirement. So we get together with business users, the end users, and we define or we gather the requirement, what are the requirements, then we prepare based on the Excel or Word files, how will we deliver those things. We prepare some kind of a blueprint on it. Then comes the realization phase. What does mean realization means? In realization phase, we try to configure the system based on the blueprint we have prepared. If there are additional codes required, additional developments required, we try to do those things in the realization phase. Then comes the go live and support phase. Before that, unit testing comes. So in unit testing in our like lower system. So for example, there are three systems mainly: the production system, the QA system, and the development system. Okay, some companies use the testing system as well. So in that QA system, the users do the unit testing, and once the unit testing is finalized, then comes the go live and preparation phase. So in the go live phase, if we implement or deploy code in our production system, and once it is deployed in the production, then comes the support and those phases. Yeah.
How you can ensure the data of client you cannot misuse.
So there are different, agreements that to be done within the client and the company who is providing and we have to, give our consent to those things. Whenever you join certain company, also in your appointment letter, there will be certain terms and conditions that you have to agree upon, and those conditions clearly define that no misuse of client data and all. And also there are audits, if you heard of it, audits happening at a frequent interval like yearly or 2 yearly. In those audits, they check everything that there should be no misuse of the data, no data breach, and all those things. And yeah, from our side also, everyone ensures that the data should be remain intact, integrity of the data should be there, there is no misuse of the data. So all these things we have to keep it, but no one actually does those things. So and as I told you, there are some version management tools, right? So whenever you do some coding or like that, there are version management systems. So if you do some kind of thing, so there are high chances that those systems will, capture there's more miscellaneous or malfunction activities in there. That's how we keep it.
Thank you, sir, to giving your valuable time, and your knowledge
Hope
will
I
be
have
very useful
answered
for us.
your
Thank you.
questions correctly, and
Yes, sir.
you
Yes.
guys
Yes,
will
sir.
also don't call it sir again.
Thank you, Pawan.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
problem.
Okay.
So we can wind up then if you don't have any questions further.
Mm, yes.
Yes.
One
Okay.
question is, I today's day we listening some layoff uh, company. The how which can advice you give to us? Which domain we work?
Sorry,
Uh,
Uh,
didn't get your question actually.
they
Some advices to be in
work
software industry.
Okay, so I would say some of the hot topics currently, like in the recent times, we had a call with our capability team and the higher management, and the recent very much hot topic, it you can say coming 8 to 10 years, is data science. Okay, data management. Which comes because you guys also have idea everything revolving around data nowadays. Whatever we say, whatever we speak, or whatever we search, it's all stored in data. They use the data to sell the things, to acquire customers, and also everything revolves around data. So data science and those things, and also one more important thing is machine learning. Machine learning is going to be very crucial in coming time. Okay, one more thing is AI, generative AI. So I would encourage you guys to focus more on this part of the software development. You can learn Python, have your I would suggest, before completing your 4 years of college, you should be very much proficient in your coding and all these things, because you will not, to be very frank, you will not get job only based upon your degree. Okay. You should be very much fluent in communication also, in English also. All these different aspects, reasoning is there, and general aptitude is also there. These things will definitely going to help you a lot. And once you know you
Thank you.
you move ahead, you will also have some idea how you have to work and all. Once you go in a company, there will be some specific, there are some specific programs in the companies. Like for beginners, there are some programs, so you can enroll in those programs, and eventually by step you will learn all these things. So you don't have to worry that much, but just be confident from your side. Whatever you are doing, do it good. That's only advice.
Thank you, sir.
Anything else, or we can wind up
Yeah,
then? Thank you so much. It was a good session
thank
for
you.
me as well. All the best.